Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Patty Giarusso, and this is Let's Talk Pets on Society Bites Radio. Today, we welcome back Kathy Pobloskie, who's with us every month from Lost Dogs of America. And we're going to talk about a few things, and one of them is June was Pet Preparedness Month, and last week we talked with Marilyn Knapp from the Lost Dogs of Texas, and we talked about being prepared for natural disasters. And it's also National Microchipping Month. And then July is Lost Pet Prevention Month. So we've got a lot of stuff that makes us think about how to keep our pets safe. So we're going to talk about that. And I just had here locally, we just had one of those amazing stories that you'll hopefully see on the news. It was on our SNN channel this morning, but it just happened this week, so I hope it'll get picked up. And we had a little dog that was found. It had been missing for 6 years, and its microchip was registered and up to date, and they were reunited this week. So that was really cool. So welcome to the show, Kathy.
Yeah, thanks. And congratulations on that story. That was great. We posted that on our page. I just thought that was super. Yeah.
I know.
And so, any idea where the dog was all those years, or he's not talking?
No, the dog isn't telling us much, but but the owner said, she lived in Bradenton at the time, and she always believed that somebody took the dog, and I would say that is what happened. Whether it was lost and whoever found it kept it, or if it was actually taken, I don't know. But it ended up being found in Sarasota, miles away from where it went missing. The owner doesn't live in that home anymore where she lost the dog, and the little dog's name was Spanky, and she had to change its name to Gizmo because after Spanky disappeared, she got another little dog, a Yorkie, and in his honor, she named it Spanky. So she couldn't have two Spankies.
Yeah.
And so now she has a German Shepherd and her Yorkie, and then the original Spanky is a Havanese mix, really cute little guy. But when he was found, he looked like a wreck. He had that typical look of, just a mess, matted, that look. And his finder, Heather, was wonderful. And, she bathed him and groomed him. And he looked like $1 million when she got reunited with him. And she took a lot of pictures for us. And it was a great story. We had the cat that was lost for 5 years. And I've never had a dog lost for this long, and it's really cool. And I mean, you call the people up and they're like, no, Spanky's here, she said. I said, no, we have Spanky here. And she calls out to him and she's like, no, he's right here. And she goes, oh my gosh, she said, I used to have a Spanky years ago. She just, everybody is in shock when you tell them, but that's the magic and the miracle of having a good working microchip. And that's why we like to talk about it. Right?
Absolutely. Yep. And we love Facebook listings and websites and pictures online and stuff. But and the reality of it is that most people won't keep up looking at those all the time. I mean, some people do, but a lot of people just get really depressed, or they just give up and they don't. And so that's when the microchip is so important, because, if Spanky didn't have a microchip, he probably would not, even though, his picture may have been listed somewhere, he might not have made it home because she may have stopped looking.
Yeah, and when I called in the microchip, I didn't even think to ask if they had ever reported it as missing, and she couldn't remember because she thought the dog was gone and she'd never see it again. So she had, gotten rid of all his old paperwork and stuff. And so she asked me yesterday, did they tell me what his birth date was? And I said, no, but I'll call back. So I called him back and I said, I have to ask you a couple of things. I called PetLink and I said, I just want to tell you that this dog got reunited after missing 6 years. And they were all happy to hear that. And I said, could you tell me if, you have the birth date? And they did. And they said, yeah. And we also have the date that it was the original alert was sent out, which was over 6 years ago, 6 years and some months ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so the owner did everything right. They did everything
Okay.
right,
Yeah.
but whoever took the dog obviously may not have ever taken it to a vet, or it was never scanned, so because
Right.
they never had
Right.
any indication that or that chip was ever read. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, I'm very happy that Spanky is home. That is
Oh,
great. What
I
a great
know.
story.
I know, because
Yeah.
in
It
these
really gives
days
hope
of
to
all
people.
these other bad stories, we need a good
I
one.
know. I know. I know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh.
so this is
Oh,
so important, and that's why I wanted to kind of roll all this stuff in, being prepared with your pet and microchipping month, and then July is Lost Pet Prevention Month, and we cannot stress when you hear a story like this, and Lost Dogs of America is so good at posting all of these stories all the time on your Facebook page. Um, that it just goes to show you how important it is to microchip your pet, but then on top of that, to keep that chip updated regardless of how long your pet's been missing. Make sure you keep it updated, because you never know. You just never know.
right. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. You don't know when you're going to get that phone call, and if you haven't kept it up to date, you may never get that phone call. So,
Right.
yeah, that's such a
Yeah.
good reminder.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, as far as Lost Pet Prevention Month, we talk all the time about what to do, and I think, tying it into the preparedness thing, talking with Marilyn, she gave some tips, and um, what are some of the best tips you can give people? I mean, it's hard because there's so many of them, but I mean, what do you normally, I know you speak at different events and stuff, like what would you just want to tell people to be prepared and be, the best pet parent you can be for your pet?
If I could just say one thing, it would be you can never be too cautious, and don't ever be embarrassed or feel foolish or that you've been too careful.
Right.
I think some people are a little bit um, embarrassed when they're out with two leashes on their dog, one on a collar and one on a harness. That somebody's going to make fun of them for doing that, or can't they control their dog? They need two leashes. But I just think that when you're in a situation where there could be a problem, that you can never be too careful. We had a story this weekend. Unfortunately, it's not been resolved yet, but I'll just share it with you. That I don't know what it's like where you are, but in Wisconsin, our vet clinics, because of COVID-19, um, they prefer that you don't come into the clinic with your dog
Right.
when you have or cat when you have an appointment. So they have a policy where you sit in the parking lot, text them that you're there, and then when your appointment is your appointment time, they come out. The vet tech comes out and gets your dog and takes it into the clinic. Well, we had a case this week where the little Chihuahua, the vet tech came out, and the son of the owner went to pass the Chihuahua to the vet tech, and the vet tech dropped the dog,
Mm,
and it is still missing.
yeah.
Ran out into traffic, got hit by a car, and
Oh no.
unfortunately and was not jumped up and ran, but we've had no sightings yet.
Oh.
And so that again is like I'm just like if I could just say something, we always learn things in hindsight. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, maybe we need to be telling people that with small dogs, they need to be in a carrier. Hand your dog to the vet tech in a carrier,
Mhm.
or with a larger dog, make sure that you have a leash and two leashes, one to the collar and one to the harness, just in case the dog backs out of one.
Yeah.
Um, because what a horrible thing, to happen. And of
And
course,
that.
the vet clinic is horrified, and the vet
Mhm.
tech is mortified by the whole thing, and the owners are beside themselves with grief, trying to
Yeah.
find their dog. And
I
so
hope
I
it's
just
found
think that we
soon.
could never be too careful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had the exact same thing happen here on Friday, Kathy, but it was a cat in the same exact situation, except the owner handed it over to the person from the vet clinic, and the cat spooked and jumped. It ran, I don't know how it did it, across a three lanes and then another 3 lanes. It made it across, and the cat's 15 years old and sick. And it hasn't, we've had people out there, flyers out there every day. People are looking, and just cannot find that kitty, and it's so sad. It's so sad, but you're right. I mean, put them in a carrier, put them in a crate, it's, you can't be too safe, especially when, you've got to hand it over outdoors to a stranger. Yeah.
Right, right, yeah. So just, try to think ahead and think of the worst possible case scenario and plan for that. And I know people don't like to do that because they feel that that's like, overblown, or no, nothing's going to happen. But
Yeah.
we put a seat belt on ourselves every time we get in a car, and there's very small chance that we're going to be in a car accident. But we need to be starting to think the same way about our pets. Do things always, always, always to be preventative, to prevent things from happening.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and we had a dog today, and I already am getting the feeling that the finder thinks, the owner's terrible owner. The dog jumped over my fence to get into my yard. It must want to get away from the owner, but we've had thunderstorms like every single day. And, Florida thunderstorms are crazy, crazy scary. I mean, your house shakes, so dogs, it has been nuts. We've already reunited over 80 pets just this month, and it's only, what is the date? The 11th? I know it.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
wow.
It's crazy. And
Yeah.
many of them, we haven't even had sightings, because I think they're just running and scared and hiding. And, so to think that the dog is coming into your yard because it's trying to get away from the owner, the mentality sometimes, it's a hard thing to deal with. And so prevention of whatever of your pet getting lost is makes it even more important when you have to deal with the mentality of a finder, when the finder is like that, and we see that too often. We see that often, and in a storm, I mean, I don't know what kind of weather you guys have up your way, but in a storm, we both know what a dog can look like or a kitty can look like in a couple hours if it's stuck in a bad storm,
Absolutely, yep.
And
it just seems to me that we're going into that kind of perfect storm of lost pets, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Just,
yeah, and I think
storms.
One thing I wanted to talk with you about the thunderstorms in the summer and everything was that I completely forgot. I mean, we're weeks literally away from July 4th. So that might be why it's Pet Prevention or Lost Pet Awareness Month in July, I guess. Yeah, so that's a good thing for you to add right now. Like how, what people, I don't know if there'll be a lot of July 4th events like there normally are. I've heard fireworks may be canceled, hip hip hooray. But, you have to prepare for that. So what do you suggest people do for the 4th of July?
Well, same thing, just really try to think ahead and find out when your public fireworks displays are going to be. But, like you said, because of COVID-19, most of our public fireworks displays in Wisconsin have been canceled. Not all of them, but most of them have been canceled. We try to keep a running list of them as it gets closer on our page so that people can check where their nearest ones are. So everybody's, oh, hooray, happy for the dogs because there's not going to be fireworks. But I actually think that it might be a worse year because as I was driving home just today from the barn where I keep my horse, the local fireworks stand is being erected in the grocery store parking lot. And I actually think because so many public displays are being canceled that people will put on more backyard displays. And for us, that's actually even more problematic because you can't predict that. There's no schedule. And so really, and what we find is people buy their fireworks and then they want to test them and test the wind. And so they'll shoot off a few here and there, even up to a week, 10 days before the actual 4th of July. And just, that those one or two can be enough to startle a dog in the neighborhood that you had no idea that was coming. You can